What's up out there, world? What's up out there, America, Black America, my entire Black community? It's the Determined Black Man, John J. And I just wanted to speak today on a few things that we've been already discussing on a few of my previous videos. And the first matter is y'all continue to be safe. Don't think that this stuff is gone away because they allow stuff to open back up. COVID-19, aka the beer virus, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, SARS-2 is real, y'all. People have lost their lives. People are continuing to get sick. People are continuing to die. Let's not downplay this because they are allowing things to open back up and they're downplaying it as though it's okay. It's not. You have over 100,000 people that are already deceased due to the COVID virus that are known to have died from this, not the unknown. Because the unknowns, the numbers are uncertain. So I want y'all to continue to wash your hands all throughout the day. Continue to stay tidy. Continue to keep your hands away from your mouth, your eyes. Wear your mask. Do all those things. Those preventive measures that can stop you from contracting the disease or the spread of it. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, I want to touch on the Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter subject, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want us to forget the current state of events and the movement that's taking place in our community and in amongst us as blacks. We need to understand the severity of it all and the consequences and the benefits. Right now, as I said on a previous video, I am not and I will not be in cahoots with the looting, which is in my own perspective stealing. No matter what, if you're taking it from them or you're taking it from us or whoever, you're stealing. And so I can never justify wrong. I can never justify wrong and make wrong right, no matter whether it's because someone else done me wrong or what. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand the underlying conditions, as they say with COVID. I do understand the underlying conditions, or with any other underlying disease. I do understand the underlying conditions that have sprung this into existence. This is the powder cake that has exploded. I mean, when you continue to bash and to mistreat and devalue and use harsh words and create laws of inequality, and it's very evident. And you have representatives of the law that have no value of life. Then you have a ticking time bomb. Because at the end of the day, we all humans, you know what I'm saying? We still deserve rights. We deserve just as many rights as anybody else. It should not be 2020 and we still fighting for justice amongst the justice system. It's still clear that there is injustice in the justice system, and as I always said, it's just as if I already did it. Even if I'm not guilty, I'm guilty. It's sad, but it's true. Now, like I said, as far as the looting and all that, I'm not with that. But the rallying, the standing up for our people, the speaking out and letting them know how we feel and what needs to take place, rallying behind our politicians that are on the same page with us, and making sure we get out here and go to the polls and vote, exercise those rights. Let us not forget our ancestors and those that paved the way so that we could have that right. Y'all, it's been less than 60 years ago. I mean, everybody remember, they heard about slavery. They done their studies about slavery. But let's not forget about Jim Crow also, because even after the abolishment of slavery, that we still had slavery going on for over 2-3 years after the abolishment, after the emancipation, after the documents, the declaration had been signed. We still was enslaved. They still had to send them troops in here. But then even there after that, we still had to navigate throughout the Jim Crow laws that were put in place to steal and yet still demise the black man. Like, we still had to suffer through those laws, but many of us still were tortured and killed. and shot down in the streets, sprayed with high pressure fire hydrants, stalked down by policemen and police dogs, you know, barred and segregated from drinking out the same fountains or entering the same doors or sitting at the same bars or sitting on the same side of the building or even working in the same side of the building. Like we was segregated. Even if we worked at the same place, they kept whites on one side, blacks on the other. I mean, and that's been less than 60 years ago. It's been less than 100 years, y'all, when we started the plight for equality and for equal rights, you know. So don't y'all get too complacent with this movement and think that this is the first time black people have stepped out and tried to step up. No, it's just that it's falling on deaf ears so many times that this generation feels that way, because they haven't in the last 20 years seen much change. But we have come far and beyond, and we must continue to fight that fight. Let's not discredit those, because there'll come a time when this time will look minute compared, you know, to other times. But hopefully in the next 20 years, you know, the next 20 years, that generation of kids, they won't have a clue of what racism and what obstacles people had to go through to get to equality, to an equal playing field. Maybe, I mean, no more than through their studies, not from actual encounters, because hopefully by then the world will have grown and respected us all as human beings, and not tried to use us, demoralize us, demean us, tear us down, separate us, destructure us. Hopefully by then we as a people will have gravitated toward the truth, and we will begin to acknowledge the truth, and we will begin to live the truth. See, first you have to be made aware of the truth, then you have to acknowledge that's the truth, and then you must act out the actions of your acknowledgement. Okay, I see that's the truth. I need to get to it. You know, that type of attitude. We gotta get to it, y'all. These people is not trying to give us anything, and now that we have open eyes, and we do have some that are supporting us, let's take advantage of that in the most positive way possible. Let's take advantage of that in the most possible way possible, because I can't go to court and expect the courtrooms to back me up because I burnt down a building. But what I can do is, if I go to that poll and I vote a politician in, I vote a congressman in, I vote my local senators and statesmen in, I can go to those town meetings. I can go to those town meetings, or I can write and call in with expectations of response as to what we expect or what was promised to us. And so, with that being said, putting pressure on them to do what they said they're gonna do, sometimes that right there in itself will get the job done. Because as long as a man feel like there's nobody watching him, then he feels that he can pretty much do things the way that he wants to. That's white or black. But when you know that you are under scrutiny and there's other people watching you, then you'll more than likely carry out those actions precautiously. You'll do those things with more passion, with more concern, with more understanding, you know, and you won't do it with the dark side, you know, with people when we have to wonder if you are with us or you're not. It would be all put out there in black and white. It'd be all put out there for us to view. So that's where I'm at right now on that subject. I made a post about black men. We need to take the guns off each other, take the anger from out our heart and all the grudges we holding against one another for whatever has happened to us in the past. all the hate that we have built against one another. We need to try to strip that down, man. Break that down, because I understand being angry. I do understand retaliation and how it feels like for somebody to wrong you, and how hard it is for you to overcome that without retaliating. But I'm trying to tell y'all that that's not going to solve anything. It's only going to create more and more hell, more and more sufferance, and it's not going to give us any more leniency in our court systems. That's what's destroying our homes for the most part ever since the 70s, as I said, as I responded to someone that had a comment on one of my posts. The reason why I told black men, after I said for us black men to be respectful of who we are, and I also said for black women to respect black men, because if a black man respects who he is in the position that he holds, then it shall be no need for me to specifically say, and black men stop putting your black women down and stop talking bad about them and calling them by their names and da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Something that I've been guilty of myself, but I'm aware that that's not right. But I'm also aware of the fact that the systematic formation of separation has been put in place for hundreds of years. But the new system was put in place in the 70s when they started giving women provisional rights and giving them all of the assistance programs through the government, because with those programs there comes the elimination of the family. There comes the elimination of the husband or the mates, and because those are some of the stipulations. And if you have a husband or mate or residing with you, then you don't qualify. You see what I'm saying? But in the mind of a person that don't have any other means of support, then they're gonna fall, they're gonna fall back into this, and so they're gonna fall right in line with the government's request, because they are in need and they don't see any other way. So that's why we have to educate ourselves. We got to study. We got to find grants. We got to find other propositions, rather than the first thing we do is jump in a government assistance line, because it's really all a part of the restructuring of the mind. Those systems are put in place to crutch our society. They're put in place to keep a certain group of people down, because and complacent, because what happens is you get on the system, so they only give you so much money per month, but they give you free housing or very minimal cost housing and bills, and the only stipulation is that you don't have any other support, which is primarily a husband or a boyfriend or a fiance or whatever. So they eliminate the process of the foundation of the family. And that's the reason why I said black queens, black women, stop downing your men and get behind them. I know black men have been scornful towards black women for years now, but majority of their hate that has developed, and this is why I say we must all remember the cause that led to those effects. This is an effect. This is what happens when a black man is shoved into a corner to defend himself against everybody else. See, the deck is stacked from day one against a black man, that I don't think a black woman, unless she really dissects it and takes it and digests it, chew it up and then digest it, allow all the nutrients to get inside of your bloodstream, then she will never know the true meaning in what I'm saying, because she hasn't quite experienced the things that I experienced. I'll tell you this, I know this for a fact. I done hung around some, plus I pay attention. And most of the ones I hung with, they never displayed this type of behavior. But that's how I know the difference. I've seen both sides of that kind. I have the kind, I know the kind, I've seen the kind, I associate with some of the kind that I feel that genuinely love everybody, not just black people, that genuinely love everybody, see everybody as just human beings and not the color of their skin. They judge them according to the character the contents of their character and not the color of their skin. And so I'm not saying, I would never say all whites. I would never say all blacks, because there's always room for error. There's always, the flip side of everything. So I can never say all black people are right, or all black people are wrong, or all white people are right, and all white people are wrong. Now, what I can say is that I feel the need for togetherness. And I feel that we need to open our eyes to who are really for us and who are just trying to use this as a catalyst for their own personal gains. I heard the NFL, I heard Roger Goodell is backing the black NFL players now that want to speak out or stand up against the inequalities or speak up and stand up against racism. And he's promoting the Black Lives Matter. But just here, less than 5 years ago, Brother Kaepernick was sidelined and then blackballed out of a job. Nobody stood up. Less than a year ago, Jay-Z makes a proposition. I ain't knocking Jay-Z. I like Jay-Z's business mind. I'm not 100% behind him on the Black Lives Matter movement, because I feel like he hasn't done quite enough, from my opinion. But I don't know how tired his hands are. Another thing is, I don't always believe in siding with the enemy so fast, because you give a mixed message. True enough, we can't turn our backs completely on them, just like they can't turn their backs on us. We all need each other. And that's what we need to realize. That's the most important thing that they need to take from this. That neither one of us are any more significant than the others. And they haven't gone through the persecutions or the struggles. They haven't been slammed. I mean, I'm not saying none of them have been, but I mean on a more persistent, consistent ratio, you know what I'm saying? On a more persistent, consistent rate, they have not been treated and mistreated the way that we have, and our people have, our ancestors have. And everyone else that has had some type of restitution. They have been given some type of provision. We don't have any type of tax lies. They don't give us no extra tax lies. We don't get no exemptions or none of that. We don't get no stifling. We don't get a check. We don't get nothing. We just keep on struggling. Keep on being black. That's all. And I never try to use any of that as an excuse. I always just try to keep going, keep getting it. You know what I'm saying? And keep educating myself so that I can become wiser. I could become wiser, and that way I will be able to help someone else gain the knowledge that I have, and therefore we can bond together and we can create this movement that needs to be taking place right now. And we can actually add and gain from what we're learning. You know what I'm saying? We can help our communities add and gain. And with that being said, when I speak on Jay-Z, what I do, like I said about him, his entrepreneurship, and the fact that he took his career in his hands and he drove it to where he is today. Now that is commendable. And not only that, on his last album, I did listen to some of those songs, and a couple of them really spoke about some of the stuff that's going on now amongst our culture and how we're being treated in this country. But what I most importantly took from it was his inspiration to buy back the hoods. You know what I'm saying? Now that was major to me, because he actually broke it down and told you how he wasted millions of dollars buying cars and stuff like that, which he wished he had bought some apartment buildings that at the time were fractions of the amount that they're worth now. You know what I'm saying? So he was saying, like, if he had 10 to 20 years ago made investments with that same amount of money, it would have been worth 10, 20 times more. But we think about right now, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to be impressive with the people that we see in our lives on a day-to-day basis right now. We don't know what we'll be in the next 5 or 10 years, because a lot of times we don't plan. Not to say that the hand of God don't have the final say-so, and You can get smoked down today. I can get killed. I mean, you know, anything can happen. I could die of a heart attack as soon as I finish making this video, or maybe in the process of me making it. But I'm just saying, we have to think outside of the box. Remove the box. Think long term. Because if you think long term, then your investment is protected. It's a more feasible, more rational investment. And so it has less and fewer possibilities of rejection or to be shot down. You know what I'm saying? It has more strength and less volatility. So it's going to continue to go in one direction. And that hopefully that direction is up and positive. And so I hope that somebody takes something from some of the stuff I be trying to talk about, y'all. Like, I don't just like running my mouth and I ain't getting no responses. In the process of y'all watching this video, y'all please share my videos, like my videos, and subscribe to my page. I don't try to be on nothing other than the truth, y'all. It's John J, a determined black man. I'm determined to change my life, first of all, and to become more and more aware and increasingly aware of and conscious of what's going on around me and what's going on inside of me. I know a lot of the stuff that goes on around us determines what goes inside of us, which also determines what comes out of us. So we have to be conscious of what's going on around us. If it's negative, we have to make sure that we remove ourselves or keep ourselves separated from the negative. And if it's positive, then we need to dive in the head first and give some more power, some more manpower to push that thing forward and make it happen. I really strongly urge that. I really strongly urge our people to use their resources and come together. And as you've heard all your life, it's strength in numbers. It's strength in numbers, whether it be money or whether it be the unification of people. When you have a certain group of people that pull together, it's hard to bring them down because they're all fighting for the common cause. That's the same way that this country has been able to keep us down, because you have had the mass majority of the country or the people that are in power pressing us down and trying to keep us oppressed and trying to keep us with less. So that's why it has taken such a long time to see any progress. Not only that, I feel like we have slacked up, but something of this nature as George and RIP, all of the dead victims, all of the people that have lost their lives or have been brutally beaten at the hands of a bad cop. But in this enlightenment, we want to also know that we're gonna have some changes to take place that are gonna be beneficial in our community. First of all, y'all need to erase some of these old Jim Crow laws. Y'all need to come, especially down south. Y'all need to come down south. The feds need to do a reevaluation and a reassessment and make some change, some major changes to some of these bills and some of these laws that are in place. 100+ years old. Things are changing. Things have changed. And there's no way that you can tell me that you got a law that's over 200 years or 100+ years old that should be still viable in today's society. Because we all know 100 years ago, the hate was extremely real. So it was no way that those laws, it's no way that all of those laws were fair or in our corner to help back us. So we need to get out here in our communities. Let's keep our communities clean. Like, you stay in the hood, that don't mean you gotta look like trash. Go out there and pick that trash up, man. We need to lead by example, man. I firmly believe it. Like I said, I ain't bashing nobody because you want to bust some windows, you want to burn some stuff down because you were angry, you were pissed. Look, I'm the type. You see them? I'm the type too. When I get mad, I want to hit something. I want to release some pressure. I want to give somebody the business. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I know It's gonna lead me to jail. It's gonna lead me to prison. It's gonna lead me to death, because everybody ain't taking them, L's like that. Some of you guys gonna pull it out on you. So, you know what I'm saying? I have to factor all that in. I have to remember the fact that I'm trying to stay alive, because I got kids that's coming up in this world. I wouldn't dare want to lead them based on my own stupidity to fend for themselves out here in this ridiculousness, and it's this madness that's taking place all over the world, but especially here in America, where they have their own birthrights. So I want to encourage each and every one of us to continue to fight the good fight. If you have not joined in, then join the good fight. White or black, Mexican, Hispanic, whatever. And that's another sad issue that I will speak on another video. When we have people that have faced the same struggles, or continue to face those same struggles, but they are against us simply because they really don't understand us. They have been led to believe a certain way or think a certain way, and so therefore they act towards us in that manner. Those are all strategic plans to keep us one against each other. You have a lot of Hispanics don't even know that they have African descent. Just because they come from Cuba or come from some part of Spanish America, New Mexico, whatever, doesn't mean that they're not black. But in that same token, you got a lot of them that's trying to kill us because we black. The same principle that applies to, when I think about the fact of Adolf Hitler. He was persecuting and killing Jews because he felt intimidated by them, and he felt that they were trying to take over the world, so he wanted to take over the world, so he wanted to destroy them. Then come to find out he was partly Jew himself. So, I mean, it's hypocritical either way it goes when you look at it like that. That's why I try to stand for righteousness. You know what I'm saying? I dissect it and break it down, and I get behind righteousness. No matter whether everybody else is against what I'm saying or not. You know what I'm saying? I never try to go with the mob mentality. I said on the last video. I never try to join the crowd. You know what I'm saying? Just because there's a crowd and everybody else is saying what they're saying, and amen in one another. No. I do my own homework. I do my own due diligence, and then I factor everything in, and whatever I come up with, whether it's gonna be on the downside or the uptrend, that's where I stake my claim, and that's where I make my position. That's why I take my position to to be able to gain something from this, and to be able to give back, so that someone else can take the torch and carry out this mission. I'm not a selfish individual, and plus I do understand the roles that need to be played. Like I read a meme today. Everybody have to remember what lane they came from. So therefore, your views are gonna be different. If you 50 plus, then you came from this lane. If you 40 plus, then you came from this lane. You know what I'm saying? It broke it down from generation to generation, and between what age group is considered this generation and that generation and the other. And we all serve different purposes in this battle, but we still can all at the end of the day, we all should be on the same accord. So therefore, you should be like Magic Johnson. You should be able to play every position. If you're a true sportsman, if you are true about what you're doing, if you're real about what's going on, and you really want to stand up for righteousness, you want to make some differences, then you should be able to play every position. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's bringing attention to the matter, or actually getting out here in the streets and making stuff happen through action. So everybody needs to play their roles, and sometimes your role requires you to step outside of what you used to, and you know what I'm saying, introduce yourself to something new and not be afraid to. That's secondly, you gotta be fearless when it comes to these things, because you're gonna step on some toes. You gotta think these people, okay, I just had the quarterback for my team, the franchise that I consider my team, that I've been repping a long time. I ain't gonna say my whole life, but since I understood football. And my quarterback, I mean, I've been a faithful fan of his, been a loyal fan of his for over 10 years now. And to hear his insensitivity towards the Black Lives Matter and the flag, or Kaepernick's take on the flag, to hear his take and how he rambled on about it was very insensitive and disheartening too, because I respect him and I know as a man and as a family man that he is reputable, you know what I'm saying? But in an instance like that, when a reporter would have asked me if I was he, I really can't speak directly on that because I never walked in that man's shoes. But me looking at it and observing it from where I'm sitting, where I'm at, he should have just remained silent on that if he didn't have nothing else to say, or if that's how he truly feels. Because him speaking on honoring his grandparents and blah, 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 really showed me that a lot of white people have nullified what black people went through simply due to the honor of whoever their lineage, you know, from the honors of their lineage. Like, yeah, I would respect my grandfather because he fought no war. But if my grandfather was a Confederate soldier that was fighting to keep people enslaved that didn't deserve to be enslaved, why am I continuing to put him on a pedestal for that? I gotta love where I came from, but I also gotta remember that I'm going to somebody that's bigger and higher. You know what I'm saying? That I'm being watched and I'm gonna be judged by him. So that's where you have to find and use your own sense of direction. Use a moral compass, something to guide you correctly rather than your emotions or rather than your own self-gain. Selfishness. That's not a God. That's a sin. Jealousy, a sin. Envy, a sin. Covetousness, that's a sin. You want something somebody else got. We need to learn, further of all, that we weren't just put here. We all serve a purpose. Let us figure out our purpose out here. Let's figure out how can we help create a solution rather than a problem, or adding to the problem, should I say. Because there are so many problems, and it's a wide variety of problems, that we are experiencing in our community. And I always like to look at ourselves first. You know what I'm saying? I like to do a self-evaluation first. Whenever I think about correcting anything in my life, I have to do the first thing first. Look at me and find what is it that I have done flaw that I can fix that maybe could correct the problem. It's no sense in me going out here trying to figure it out and asking everybody else out here what's going on or what we need to do, and I ain't really paid attention to myself. Because just maybe the problem is me. Maybe I am one of the problems. So with that being said, y'all, I just want to encourage everybody to do right. I want to encourage everybody to take life serious. You know what I'm saying? I know sometimes we got to defend ourselves because this is the life that we live in. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't willing to be educated. Everybody ain't willing to take to turn the cheek or to take a second look or to take a second thought before they act. You know, everybody ain't got that kind of sense. Everybody don't care about that. But I'm going to encourage those of you that are or that have or possess any of these characteristics, let's go, y'all. Let's go get this money. Let's go make these people understand where we coming from and make them make some changes. Let's go push these people to give us our restitution that we deserve for all the hundreds of years of disparity and oppression and harsh, targeted laws that have desecrated and decimated my people for hundreds of years now. Families have been torn apart. Men have been sent to prison for wrongful convictions. In some of those cases, and a lot of those cases with known wrongful cases, but they still put them people in prison. And then when they do find out 30, 40 years later, you want to give them $100,000. Got to do better than that. We need to make sure that we need to push these cities and these states to pay them guys more And that in turn will put more pressure on these department heads and these commissioners and these police chiefs and these sheriffs to put pressure on their employees and their officers to do the right thing when it come down to treating us fairly. When you start hitting them in their pocket like that, that's when you start getting some type of feedback back, some positive feedback. Now, burning down buildings and stuff like that to hit their pockets, I'm not in agreement with that. I heard Amazon warehouse got burnt last night. Y'all know Amazon is probably the biggest shipping in the United States. They have, one of the greatest retail services there are. People are ordering masks, Lysol, all different types of stuff that they need to stay safe during this pandemic. And a lot of that stuff comes by way of Amazon. This is what I said the other day when I said what I said about not being stupid. Don't go out here and destroy all of your resources out of anger. It's just like I said, you're tearing down and burning up your own neighborhoods. Your moms, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, nieces, nephews. They gotta live there. They gotta work there. They gotta survive there, go to school there, live and die there. Why would you? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I won't wish everybody be stuck in a hood or a project, but it's some of us that have to go through that process to get to where we want to be. You know what I'm saying? But why would you destroy that out of anger when, okay, first of all, they may not come back. They may not build it back. So therefore, you're going to have to leave your community to go outside of your community to spend money. There's less tax dollars that you receive inside of your community. That means you get less funding for school, roads, or whatever it is that you need. That's one. Now, two, we also got to remember that, it's just time out for all of the bull crap, y'all. It's time for us to get in the books and understand. And I ain't saying everything that they put in these books is right either. But we got to figure out how this stuff has affected us. See, we got hundreds of years of brainwashing and whitewashing that has taken place. It's not going to change overnight. I heard people saying, what did Martin Luther King do? Look how long it took for some change to take place. All these years, and they still ain't hearing us. A lie. Martin Luther King was a Nobel Prize winner. He died doing just what I feel like was right. I know a lot of people feel they lean more towards Malcolm because of the fact Malcolm didn't shy away from violence. He didn't welcome it, or he wasn't necessarily a violent man, which he did come from the streets of Harlem, if I'm not mistaken. So he had tough skin already. And so initially, his response to violence was to react with violence. But I think once he went on his trip to Mecca, I think his opinion changed about the entire nation of Islam, because of he was able to see the love was shared amongst different skin tones, and it was shared the same. It was equal, no matter what skin tone. And also, he realized how whitewashed a lot of the stuff that he had been led to believe was. You know what I'm saying? He realized that it had its own spin and twist on it too, as far as concerns of manipulation or pointing out people in the wrong direction. So, or a misguided direction. So, I said all that to say something, and I hope that y'all got something. I'm a determined black man, John J. I hope that y'all have a blessed day, blessed week, blessed years to come. And I hope with everything that I've said, that you all get something that will help you to be able to help someone else. I hope that you get something that will help us to be able to rise up and to be able to rise up and rise up. I hope that we are able to get something from this that's going to help us to rise up, and once we get up, I hope that we can stay up and we can maintain that. And I think that all that comes through consistency. So let us be consistent in our actions and what we say, and let's stand on it and let's run with it. Y'all be good, y'all be blessed, y'all stay safe, and y'all stay up out there, good people.